Hello, it's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Moriah Afolabi Brown. As always, I never do this alone. I have the ladies of Your View with me. Hello, ladies.
You have the presenters, not the journalists.
The presenters of Your View. Anyway, how are you doing today?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Seriously. How are you doing today? Well, I didn't know you've gone to journalism school.
Yeah, I've gone to
Okay, journalists. I have gone as well.
You're a journalist.
So I am.
Are you a journalist? We did presenting. That's what we did, right?
Yes, and production. I did production.
I did presenting. So
what does it make?
I don't know.
How are you doing?
Please don't let me start that yesterday's interview. Let me just tell you that I'm very good. And I've counted, and it's 2 weeks completely that they set up the committee to look into Senator Abu's case. So since we've given, they told us that in 2 weeks they would have a result, I am holding the National Assembly accountable to give us the result of the committee that they set up to check into what is happening with Elisha Abu. And also we made this call consistently on this table and will not stop, that Nigeria is in crisis. We don't expect the Senate to be going on holiday when Nigeria is having so many issues to deal with. Let them sacrifice just for this year, just for once, for Nigeria. That's what we're asking for. Small, just small.
I'm grateful to God. I'm happy my kids are closing school today. Yay. Yes, finally. So at least they can, yeah. Oh, you guys have been home. So at least they can stay home. Let's organize ourselves. You know, after my help left, I had to get somebody else, but she's doing very well. But we need to, you know, I need to show her certain things. I need to teach her how to help the kids, because I want my kids to be able to do stuff for themselves, not thinking because we have a help, every day I just eat and leave my plate and all of that.
Wow.
So I want to get into that.
We need to be deliberate about that.
Yes, they do sometimes, they forget sometimes. Yes,
so
I want to put my eye down, this one that we are going to be.
So you have a chores
holiday
list, right?
Yes.
Like that's what we
made that
do,
list.
yes. So today we had another conversation in my house too about the chores you need to do before you do anything, before you get your device, before you watch TV. And my son is still trying to tell me that he's just, why can't you just wash my plate? Everybody else can wash their plates. I said, no, this week, you're on washing duty. Next week is your sister.
My kids they don't wash plates, honestly. They've done in your house, but they haven't done in my place.
They have to. They're 7, right?
Yes. I know they're old enough to, but like we just never got to it.
The problem I have is
why are you looking at all of us like...
Both my kids, the 10-year-old and the 8-year-old, they are always fighting to cook. And they don't want to wash the dishes.
That's what is
like
happening to us now.
Because I don't like to wash dishes.
That's happening to us because they're telling me that, but this is Kosi cooks. Kamdi cooks. Mommy, we want to cook.
But they don't want to wash.
Please.
No, they don't want you to go to the fire, please. They say, well, we cooked it. This is house. I said, hey, Jehovah. Don't go. I'm a bit worried, so I'm not allowed that yet.
That's interesting. We have the... the daily declarations.
Yeah.
So my daughter needs it. You know, you ask me to be deliberate about making her boost her confidence.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. Trying to get her to the point where she has affirmative confessions to herself every single morning. So we put it up together. I'm sticking one in her room and sticking one downstairs. So as she's leaving the room, she's continually reminding herself. Yeah. So she's about to get into a new class. I'm going to try to build her up for September so that she has because this last year she kept feeling as if she's nobody friends. And I'm like, Auntie,
and she's a sweet girl.
This September, everybody wants to be your friend. Anyway,
it's deliberate.
It's going to be a great show today. Cadbury is in the building.
Yo.
And they're giving our audience beverages today. Thanks so much to Cadbury Bonvita, giving all members of the audience, including us, I believe, beverages. But thanks so much to Cadbury for being on the show with us today. Thank you. I think the ladies in front will be giving us lots of beverages. Thank you so much. So we're going on a break. When we come back, we'll look into the top stories of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Where is the beverage now? I didn't know you've been giving beverages. I was thinking they're going to give you. So you already have, can I see your cup, please? Evidence of you don't drink now. All right. Let's start with The Nation. 14 bodies pulled out of collapsed building in Jos. Mariam, I'm sure you have that story.
Yep, I do.
Buhari to critics of insecurity, you are not being patriotic. MAN, that's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, advises governments on the Africa Continental Trade Agreement. Buhari's lawyers show video to quash Atiku's server claim. Patient commits suicide at hospital. That story is in all the papers.
It is.
Northern Elders Group seek herders' safety. Wages adjustment talks deadlock. And conjoined twins separated 50 hours later. Let's take the collapsed building here.
Yes, this is a really sad story. This happened in Jos, called in Dilimi, the particular area called Dilimi, and on Monday about 6 p.m. this building collapsed. It's a 2-story building. The ground floor is used for commercial purposes, so there are pharmacies on the floor, and then above is residential. The landlord came to visit on that particular day. He normally doesn't live there. When the building collapsed, he died, 2 of his wives as well. Other people who had come to the pharmacy to do business, a few of them died, some of them were taken to the hospital. Really sad. The SEMA was there, that's the Plateau State Emergency Management Agency, helped to evacuate these bodies and people. You know, they did it over Monday and Tuesday. Very really sad, and I want to condole with the families of those who lost their lives. Rasa ukansu wanda kuma suka ji rauni suna asibiti Allah ba su lafiya kuma Allah ya kare mu ya kiyaye mu na gaba.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah. Right. So MAN, that's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, asking the federal government to constitute a committee to help implement. The committee will be including of agencies and other governmental parastatals to help implement this African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Hopefully, we can see some benefits to this agreement. Let's go to the Punch. Return to North now. Northern Elders Youth order Fulani herdsmen in the South. Septuagenarian laments 650,000 naira lost to fraudulent bank transactions. EFCC hunts unqualified graduates undergoing NYSC scheme. Patients commit suicide at the Unibed Teaching Hospital. IMF MD Lagarde resigns, gets successor by September. Kalu's claim on Buhari not owning Abuja House is false, says investigation. Banditry killings, you are politicizing isolated incidents, Buhari tells OBJ, Obasanjo, and Jonathan. Okay.
Which of the stories do you want?
Let's start with the major headline. Let's start with the human interest story. Yes, let's start with the human interest story.
Okay, the
Septuagenarian.
Okay, let me take that. So Jimo Aina is his name. He's a 72-year-old man and has an account with First Bank. And he said on this day, May 6, 750,000 naira was credited into his account. By the evening of that day, 500,000 was withdrawn. He went to the bank to report. And the bank said, he went to his lawyer and they went to the bank, to First Bank, to say, this is what has happened. So the bank says, we'll look into it and get back to you. The very next day, 148,000 was withdrawn. By the time the bank got back to this customer, they said, well, somebody used the First mobile app to make the withdrawals, meaning they used his ATM as well as his PIN. But this is a man that does not own a smartphone. He has just a regular phone that he receives calls. Wow. And this is money that he has put aside for his child being in hospital. Right. So the bank, as of right now, is saying, see, we have nothing to do with what has happened to you.
And the banks are usually slow to respond.
Yeah, the bank is slow to respond. We have someone that actually reached out to Tokwe and I concerning something like this that's happened to her. Withdrawals from her account. You go to the bank. The bank will tell you, give us time. Before they get back to you, more withdrawals are being made. Right. And then they'll tell you, well, we have nothing to do. There's nothing we can do for you.
Unfortunately, we have to move on to another story. EFCC hunts unqualified graduates undergoing the NYSC. Who has that story?
Yes, I have the story. So the NYSC got a report that a lot of graduates are selling, unqualified graduates are selling their certificates to unqualified graduates so that they can be in the scheme. So people who did not really graduate or who are not able to go into the NYSC scheme buy the certificate so that they can be in the NYSC scheme. So the NYSC has partnered with the EFCC now. Yes, they are selling for money. Partnered with the EFCC to fish out all those unqualified graduates who are in that scheme.
Because EFCC has a lot of work with financial crime.
But another thing is, aside from the financial crime, we're still talking about tackling corruption. If corruption is starting already from people. And they also complain that a lot of people, students who are sent in from universities like Cotonou particularly, most of them did not really graduate.
So let's take one more story, the Kalu story.
Yes, so The former governor of Abia State, what's his full name, Orji Uzor-Kalu, gave a statement a few weeks back that the president, he has known the president for 32 years. The president is so humble, he doesn't even have a house in Abuja or even in Port Harcourt. For a man that has served this nation, that even his TV, his 1973-year-old TV that is in his house in Daura, a very small house, well, Punch went to investigate the declaration that the president made when he became the president in 2015 and found out that the president actually has 5 houses, one in Abuja, one in Kaduna, one in Kano, and he also has in Port Harcourt. So, please, we need to be careful when we hear statements from some of our leaders. Don't just take it as the truth. Always dig deep. Let's let's get more curious. So I'm happy that Punch went to find out that this isn't a true statement.
And again, this time,
was he speaking for the president?
He was trying to speak for the president that he's a man of integrity, which was what they sold to us.
He can be integrity without having
time of digital. Anybody
can confirm anything.
You can confirm anything. So even without him saying it, somebody could have taken a picture of that house in Laura and say, "Auntie, uncle, this TV is 2015." Let's move on to the Nigerian Tribune. The major headline: Northern elders to Fulani herdsmen leave the south and return home. Landlord, 2 wives, 9 others died in the Just building collapse. Ikimi, BMO tackle Obasanjo over letter to Buhari. Election Tribunal, INEC APC Buhari tender video to counter PDP Atiku's allegation on server. 10 Turkish sailors kidnapped off Nigerian coast. Let's talk about the Northern elders asking the herders to go back to the north.
So there was a meeting between the Northern Elders Forum and also the coalition of northern groups. And the decision spoken up by Anglo Abdullahi was that because of the threats issued in the southern governors, by governors, that the lives of this herdsmen are in danger, and that even though you're doing commerce there, it is more important for you to come back home. All of you come back to the north now, and for safety purposes, let's not risk ourselves. But I wanted to highlight what Emeka Anyoko said, because he was speaking concerning, he was former Secretary of General of Commonwealth, and he was saying that a lot of Nigerians, he said, our leaders, the political elites continue to deny a situation that he describes as extremely worrisome. He's saying that Nigeria is on the brink of collapse, reiterating what Obasanjo is saying, that there are killings taking place every day across the country. And the president replied to Obasanjo's letter saying that people are politicizing these few cases, that there are few cases being politicized by people. There's security challenges around the world. What is happening is not new, and that they are working on it. So I'm supporting Anyoko right now, because I feel like our leaders must take responsibility. You cannot solve a problem you don't take responsibility for. And there is a problem. We must acknowledge there's a problem, because if anybody speaks against the president now, they turn it into politics, and it's not. People are dying every day.
Unfortunately, we have to move on to that story. Let's take Vanguard, State of the Nation. We just mentioned that insecurity worsening under Buhari, says Jonathan and Anyoko. Well, we'll unravel how Ndubuisi Chukwu died, says South African envoy. Killing Senate condemns Fashion Roti's daughter's murder, plans security summit. Northern Elders Forum, the CNGs, order the herdsmen out of South. And Buhari's lawyer plays video clip of INEC chair in court. Okay, is there any story we haven't taken? Who has the South African envoy?
Yes, so the South African Acting High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Bobby Monroe, had a meeting with our very own Abike Dabiri Erewa at the High Commission in Abuja. And he is saying that the South Africans are committed, the Commission is committed to finding out and making investigations. They've reopened the case of Mrs. Elizabeth Ndubuisi Chukwu, who was killed in a hotel. So they are going to make sure that everything is transparent to us. They will tell us how the investigations are going and support us in this.
Foreign Affairs. Because all through the past 4 years, we saw her more speaking concerning issues that should be dealt with by the Foreign Affairs
He also met
Ministry.
with the Senate President yesterday as well, so it looks like he's going on visits.
Like a tour.
Yes,
They can make news about states nominating people. I doubt if they can make her in
but she's doing the job.
Yeah, well, daily, unfortunately, that's the federal character we work with. So you have to, it's according to the nominations per state, so you just can't put her there. Daily Trust, focus on Northeast, heightened insecurity in other parts. Minimum wage FG to pay workers earning less than 30,000 naira. Patients commit suicide in University of Benin Teaching Hospital. IMF chief Lagarde resigns. Let's talk about this person that committed suicide. What's that about?
Yeah, this is, God, scary story. He was in hospital. They took him to hospital at the emergency unit. His wife had stepped out to get something from the kiosk or something at the premises. Before she got back, they said he broke a louver, took a piece and stabbed himself. First of all, he had gone wild and was screaming, you know, and then broke that thing and stabbed himself. You see, he said blood everywhere, and I'm like,
it was so difficult to do. I mean,
okay, was he a psychiatric patient? Was he in so much pain?
Because the story is in every paper, that's why I have to believe it. Because if it was just one paper, I would have been, how do you take a louver? I mean, it's not that sharp.
No, but you broke it.
He broke it. He broke it.
He broke it off.
And you stab yourself.
So you get a sharp. But I'm saying, what pushes you to that point where you stab yourself?
You know, we've discussed a lot of mental illness, and one lady came on the show and spoke about the fact that some cases, some medical condition, when they find out their prognosis, it leads into mental disorder, and they should be treated according with alongside mental issues as well as the medical issues. So we don't acknowledge mental issues as we should.
Quickly, can we quickly take the good news? The implementation of the national minimum wage is taking effect, and it's been backdated to the 18th of April 2019. So it's going to affect only people who are earning less than 30,000. For those who are earning above 30,000 naira, after the negotiations with the unions, they would increase their own pay. So hopefully,
those of us that have helps in our house, are we going to charge?
You can't pay less than 30,000.
So how many people will pay?
This is for the government.
Yes. But even
the government. I am not a government. I'm not working with the federal government. Okay, salary has not been increased.
Well, if you're a house help and you're watching,
I am not the federal government.
My salary must be minimum 30,000 naira across board.
They will love you right now. Don't shake this table.
Don't shake this table. the amount of Nigerian women on this table to just destroy. Okay, let's take The Guardian. Buhari under fire over plan to register illegal migrants. Who has that story? Really?
I have the story, yes.
What's that about?
So, the president declared that he was going to register illegal migrants in the country already, as a way of, let's have everybody's data, know who they are. Okay. But then he's come under fire because a lot of people, there's a professor who spoke against him. The former presidential advisor faulted the registration, saying that this is more like him opening our borders to alien Fulani herdsmen who he wants to give the lands to. So everything is, they're tilting everything to herdsmen and herdsmen and herdsmen. But I think it's a step in the right direction. If you have the data of everybody living in your country, you can be able to tell those who are causing mayhem.
So it says here that the president has given them 6 months to present themselves to the immigration service, let them know where they are so that they can monitor their movement within the country. Anyway, let's go on a break. It's Wednesday. We'll be discussing digital entrepreneurship when we come back. And later, we'll shed more light on this issue of herdsmen attack or herdsmen farmers clash. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. The report has it that 47% of the world's population is connected to the internet. We're in the phase where all businesses, whether big or small, are changing the way they carry out businesses by going digital. So on the show today, we'll be talking to our guest who will be sharing with us practical tips on digitizing business online. Joining us on the show is a digital entrepreneur, Samson Olatunde. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Now, it's important for our audience because everybody, at least many of you here own businesses. It's important that you have an idea how to better your business by going digital. So our guest today will be sharing with us, a lot of people have own businesses, but they feel that, you know what, I'd rather go with the old-fashioned way of getting my customers. I see you, you see me, we transact, come and let my money and go. The idea of online is still more like, there's a trust issue going online. So in your own view, in your experience, how can you help somebody who is clueless on how to transfer her business from the regular old-fashioned way to transacting online?
Okay, thank you for having me. It's a privilege for me to be here. It's important for, first, just like what I did, study over 2,000 ebooks because I wanted to have an understanding about how
study 2008 books.
2000 e-books.
Oh, 2000 e-books, okay.
On how do I go online, what do I need to do, and all of that. So it's important for people to acquire knowledge. Because if you're doing something consistently for years and then you want somebody to come tell you to move away from that thing, it's going to take a lot of mind shift. And then for you to be able to achieve that, it's important that you acquire knowledge by trying to seek for knowledge. How do you go about it? You have Google that can help you. You have YouTube videos that can do a lot for you. You have podcasts everywhere that you can download. So first is for you to go seek for knowledge. What has happened in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria, is that people are learning from people that are not doing it. And then there's that misunderstanding, mistrust, or people not seeing this as legitimate. We're just starting up in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, because there's a lot to be done online. But looking at it, you have to combine your experience, your exposure, and then your education together to move towards the digital space, which is very important.
Okay, so we've had many people come on the show to tell us, oh, this is how to make money online, digitalize your business. And, you know, the truth is when they finish talking, they probably will just get maybe 1 point. And it's not, like, very usable to our audience. Many people have smartphones and they don't have jobs. What are the practical things that people can do with their smartphones that would help them, that can help them monetize these gadgets that they carry everywhere? And how are we wasting our time on the phone without making money from it, just in practical terms?
I think importantly, to make it easier, is first for people to discover their passion. So let me tie everything we're doing, I'm talking about, around your passion. So who are you? What can you do? And then look at the business side of your passion and then take it online. Definitely, we call it information marketing business. How do you sell what you know how to do online?
Please. Let's just do one case study.
So, so I'm a teacher. That's my passion. So how do I make money from teaching? What's the business side of my teaching? So first, I need to set up a blog. People need to know that I have an understanding of what I'm teaching, and then I need to share my knowledge. So I need to set up a blog and consistently post on their blog. Over time, people begin to read, make comments, and then that creates an avenue for me. What has happened to me over 10 years is that for every product I create or services I'm rendering was based on problem I'm trying to solve, based on my teaching path, my passion. And then it's part of me selling it in form of information to people. So there are two ways to it. You look at I look at my teaching path from a product angle and a service rendering angle. So if I'm doing it in a product angle, it means that I don't want to be seen, but I want to dish out information out there, and I want people to connect with me. So I begin to teach for free, but I will put what we call an opt-in form. Have you gone to a site where they will tell you if you want to download this free book, you have to put in your information? Now, so I want to teach about how to make money online, but I want to be sure that anyone coming on my platform, I only want people that are serious to sign up. So I give a free report teaching you what you need to do, step-by-step guide, and tell you to download, but you can't download until you give me your information. For everyone who sign up to that opt-in is a potential customer for me to sell to.
Tomorrow.
So what has happened is people want to copy what is happening, the trend, but not understanding that you can make a lot of money from discovering who you are and making it available in terms of product and service.
I'm going to come to the audience very soon because I like somebody to give me their business right now. And maybe he can help us understand how you can change that to an online business to make money. But let me come to you.
Yes, I wanted to ask. So we have a lot of people, like mostly the older generation, who, you know, they didn't start with this phone. They've been running their businesses, you know, nicely offline, and then now you come with all these almost complicated steps that they should get on the phone. What can you do to help someone from maybe that generation to key into digitize
so
business?
The reality is that there's what we call outsourcing. And that's where you bring in a consultant. It's not necessarily you do everything for yourself. And then you bringing in a consultant or trying to outsource, you also want to have an understanding of why you're going digital. First, you want to increase your sales. You want to be more visible, and you don't want your business to be out of fashion. And that's what you're trying to innovate and then introduce the online path to your business. And that's a simple step you can go through to make this available, and then you integrate this to your business. So for the older generation, for instance, I have a farmer as a client, and then he's got acres of land, farming, but the reality is that he doesn't need online from his own understanding, because I have my ready-made supplies, I have market, I have everything. But what about you going into exporting? How can people Google your name, and then there's a reality, there's that integrity around, because then if you mention your name to anyone, they'll just want to go online and check what you're doing. So there needs to be that international version of what you're doing in your local market. So it could just be, I just want to be online, showcase what I do, and then put that international version of my business out there, so that when I travel out of the country and I'm speaking to any investor, they can Google me and check the information. That could be just the reason why I want to get online.
So I understand that.
We're going to pick. Okay. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so I wanted to come to someone in the audience to see if there's a business that you like for it to go online, and you've been having trouble getting online. Let me take one or two examples. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm Jolade, and apart from being a business entrepreneur, I run a kind of dance platform for children. I teach them ethnic groups dance. I teach them about choreography. I want to know more how to go into that personally, you know. Like I buy datas and I watch different videos about the Western steps, dance, and all that. But some of my friends keep telling me that you're just wasting your data. Each time you watch it, you are empowering that person. That person's focus is loaded.
Okay. So she has a dance class, obviously. How can she transfer that online to get more customers, more so that more people send their kids to you to train them on how to do the cultural dancing?
Okay, so I'm going to work with letter P to make you understand this in a very simplified way. So your first P is the product. You've discovered your passion, and then this is a product you have to create around this. Now, how do you create a product? Can you do a 60 seconds video of these kids dancing and all of that and make it available on YouTube? Now, once you make it available on YouTube, you are attracted to make money from Google AdSense. So you're making money indirectly, and then people are viewing your videos. And then on that video, ensure that you put how they can reach you, which is called signature. How can you reach me on my social media and do what number you can call? And then as people begin to interact with you, go to the next P. That means you need to now start to brand yourself as a consultant in that line. So you must have heard about cafe dance. I mean, so you would never imagine her making money from dancing. Now, it's a big thing, people coming outside the country, and then she has the school, teaching people and all of that. Now, the reality is, she's working with the P's, either she knows it or not. And then the P's start from your passion you've identified, creating a product around it, making those videos available, having a signature there. Now, putting yourself out there as a consultant. So you write to schools, and then somehow you can integrate yourself and having your Wikipedia activated. It's easier. Once you have yourself activated on Wikipedia, it means that you are a pro. Anyone who Googles you and see that you're on Wikipedia believes whatever you're talking about. So you are indirectly introducing the packaging. And then you don't want to stress yourself explaining over and over, because your videos are going to do the job for you. So what has happened, why you're not making money, or why people don't know that they need to engage you? For instance, children are on break, and then this period they're going to be having summer. They're supposed to engage you to come and teach them. It's because somehow, some way, you've not put yourself out there, which is the packaging part of it. See,
when this Instagram online thing started, in the beginning, we're all just so used to Yahoo, emails, the basic stuff. And as social media started expanding, some people were left out. Others are in. And digital entrepreneurship will get to a point where businesses are born into digital entrepreneurship. So if you're, in fact, there'll be a time where our children have no idea that businesses will be done outside online. So the earlier you get on the bandwagon, the better. So some people are still thinking, oh, I'm not interested. Trust me, it's time to get interested.
Even big corporations are beginning to have their online sectors. Like you have, there are some eateries, I don't want to mention their names, they already have their online, where you go online, you book what you want to eat, and they deliver to you already. But my question is more about generating content. I have been in the social media space, and I know that one of the things that we find very difficult is to generate original content. You have to be original because there are a lot of copycats out there. So how do you design copycats? If they want to just pick what they saw, this one working, they saw that one working, they just pick it, like what she is doing now, having a lifestyle with ML. Somebody can now sit down, okay, Miriam did it, let me do mine. And then you see that the information you get from the different sites are almost the same. So how do you design your business in such a way that you're original? You can stand out.
Okay, so the reality is there's nothing you want to think of that somebody is not doing. So you have to be exceptional in your own way and build your community. That's the way online is. There's nothing I'm teaching that somebody is not doing somewhere outside the country. But I need to now build that around my name, around my company or whatever I want to sell. So you first give a unique name to that brand. So I call my own show Digital Entrepreneur. Now the word digital and entrepreneurship, which means that you are in business, but I'm telling you, introduce the e-version of it, so I can always connect with anybody. So she needs to look at what angle can I focus and target my niche market, which is my audience, which is the first part. And then the second part is create that ambience that will sell your brand. So I can say, this is how my set is going to look like. And every time I come on the show, I have to sit. So what makes it easier for me to know this show is because of the background.
Let me take this call from Martins. Martins will be holding for a while. Martins, are you there? I'm sorry for keeping you. I do apologize. Yes, Martin. Mariam has a question. Look, let's take a few tweets.
Oh, I don't have tweets yet, but I remember when I spoke with you concerning makeup, and I realized that there are different angles which you broke down for me. There is service, and most makeup artists tend to focus on rendering service, but we don't understand how to create products. So you broke down products training, do it into a video that you can sell. So it's a digital way I can earn money without being there, without offering the service, but I've already designed a product that anybody can access and get that learning from. And this can be done to both cake and all the skill service-based jobs. Can you give an example of what it would entail?
So let me break it down. Content can be in three ways. You have the engaging content, and then you have the promotional content. When you're trying to initiate your engaging content, have at the back of the mind, the end in mind, that you want to sell something. You don't go online to push out content without having what you want to sell. So if I'm doing a series, I know that I want to build audience so that I can sell something to them. So what you need to do is your promotional content should be different from engagement content, and then different from the one that you want to really make money from, the selling content. So if you can put that together, you're good to go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much very much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it. We're going to go on a break. When we come back, this issue of herdsmen is still very prevalent in the discourse in Nigeria today, and it's important to us that our Nigerians understand the issues at hand, especially the fact that Northern elders are asking that all herders go back home to the north, and they're complaining that the southern governors are threatening their people. Others are even complaining that the northern governors have totally acted as if nothing is happening. So let's discuss it. Let's get to the heart of the matter. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we have been discussing quite a bit about the herdsmen for some time now. And there's this misconception about who Miyetti Allah is and their roles. Also the issue of herdsmen allegedly killing innocent citizens. Now, join us on the show is the Permanent Commissioner, Kaduna State Peace Commission, Dr. Saleh Momale. Welcome to the show, sir. You can call us on 070-8066-8014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, so our objective for this segment is to educate Nigerians. People have died. In fact, recently, the daughter of a very popular Yoruba elder, Funke Olakunrin, was killed recently. And everybody's continually saying, Fulani herdsmen. The herdsmen are the ones killing in the bushes, they're hiding. Could you give us an explanation of who, for those Nigerians who have no idea, all they know, they think herdsmen, they think they're terrorists. I need you to help us explain who a herdsman is. Why do they have to leave the north and come all the way down south? Because many Nigerians, especially those on the south, believe, why are they coming here? Why don't you just stay there? We will send the water to you, we'll send the grass to you, we'll send all that to you. Stay there. So could you just give us a history of why they have to come to the south, and are they the ones carrying arms? Would you know?
Thank you very much. And this is one of the topical issues in Nigeria. And I must say that part of the challenges is because a number of institutions that need to respond appropriately have not done that. When we have institutions of government assigned responsibilities from the most local communities, I mean from the villages, the police outpost, the security units in every village and in every community, the leadership that are assigned responsibilities, moving up to the local government administrations, the relevant public sector workers, the local government information officers, the local government land officers, moving up to the states level and up to the federal level. When these authorities of government fail to carry out their responsibilities, anything goes. Misinformation will go, stereotypes will go, and people will begin to believe whatever sentiments that are paraded. And I think this is the calamity that we are increasingly seeing in Nigeria. I have heard most of these repeated statements. Very unfortunate that so many lives are lost. But the key question is, who are the perpetrators, like you rightly asked? And I think these questions should be channeled, not to the political, not to the civil society groups, not to anybody, but to the security authorities in those immediate environments. And the stereotypes that we see and the people we are trying to hold responsible as Nigerians, I wonder why we are asking these questions. We should ask the police. We should ask the state security services. We should not ask communities. We should not ask people who have no mandate and who have no responsibilities to deal with these issues. It's very alarming and very terrible that today we are politicizing crime, we are politicizing insecurity, we are politicizing the death of people and individuals. It's quite unfortunate and quite uncalled for.
But before you came to this point, sir, farmers did say herdsmen with cattle came to their farms to get their cattle to graze on their farm. And there were clashes. So that is what people felt that actually metamorphosed into what we have today, where herdsmen are carrying arms. So are you saying that those clashes didn't happen, or they didn't happen by herdsmen?
You know, these are very controversial issues. And one of the challenges I have always said is that let the media go out right there at the field. If you are interested in reporting matters like this, I know the challenges the Nigerian media is facing in terms of reaching out to some of these most rural communities. So you therefore depend on people like me or other socio-cultural groups of speakers who are based in the cities, and sometimes through phone calls with people that you cannot even establish where they are and what they are doing. For some of us that have been practitioners in some of these issues over these years, we have practically seen where issues are completely misreported. where scenarios on the ground are completely what you see in the media, not what you see in the social media. In fact, as a very young academic, the first conference I attended on farmer-herder conflicts was in 1996. The Special Services Unit of the Presidency made a presentation at a regional forum involving many countries of West Africa in Nigeria, with the number of people killed, the animals killed, the number of villages that were raided due to these violent conflicts between farmers and herdsmen as way back as the 1980s into the early 90s. That was in 1996.
There's nothing new.
Yeah,
so basically what we are saying is that there are issues, there are crises of governance, there are crises of resource management, and there is crisis of productivity in Nigeria's rural landscape, and there is rising criminality.
So, sir, you've said that the security officials who are supposed to handle these issues are silent. And I want to believe that when an issue like this happens in a community, the people in the community, the police, the security officials in the community cannot say that they do not know where these perpetrators are, where they are hiding, the routes they are passing. So it seems to me like there's like a conspiracy of silence with these security officials, because so far so good, we've not seen these bandits or these killer herdsmen apprehended and prosecuted. What do you think is behind it? Because that's why everybody is feeling like there's a conspiracy out there.
I think the scenarios, the context in every local event and every local environment varies. What happens on the highways, what happens at the level of the farmlands and grazing areas, and what happened at the village raids are completely different scenarios and different actors. And like you said conspiracy of silence. I don't see it as conspiracy. I see it as weakness in governance. I see it as incapacity. I see it as the inability of the Nigerian state and the Nigerian people to collectively rise above narrow sentiments, above the blame game, and above ethnic and religious considerations in addressing and diagnosing issues and problems.
So, well said. But we must situate the blame. And Mieti Allah is, you cannot take out the fact that there is a specific region that herd cattle. So you cannot, there's no Igbo herdsman, you know, it's
rare.
Not, we're not politicizing or ethnicizing, it's like, it's a fact. Very few Yorubas do spare parts business. It is a specific region. So it's a bit evasive when we find government saying, oh, we are making this about a region, we're making it about, but there are issues on ground. The grazing routes have been overtaken by farmers, and we've engaged them legitimately in their business. They've had conflicts with headers, and headers have come back to attack this society, the community. We've had Mieti Allah spokesperson speak up to say that the cattle lives are very important. If you kill our cattle, we'll kill your people. So and the government hasn't shown response in saying that you cannot compare human life with a cattle. We've not seen the government coming in to mediate comprehensively the issues. The Southwest and the Southeast have consistently spoken up against having herdsmen in their area, and the northern governors are silent. They are not saying this is what we want to do for our people, because they are your people. And they are your people that are being, whether rightfully or wrongfully, accused of committing crime. But everybody just keeps looking. The president hasn't addressed the media one-on-one concerning these issues. And you say you put the blame there, but you're not recommending what you expect them to do. Because we need to get to that point where we say, what should Nigerians expect?
Moving
now,
forward.
what should we do? The man that has lost his daughter, what should he do? The one whose farm has been taken over by cattle, what should he do? How do we deal with it?
I agree with you to some extent on some issues. But like, again, looking at these issues, there are very many different pressure groups representing various interest groups. And I believe Mieti Allah is one of those associations. And I cannot speak for them, and I cannot agree or disagree with you over what you say, some of the claims. You said they said that cattle are very important, and if anybody kill a cow, they should retaliate by killing the person. I cannot say whether the Mieti Allah have said that or have not said that, because I'm not with them at all the times. But these are some of the things that drive some of the very negative perceptions that we have. Some of these unguarded utterances, whether they come out from the media, whether they come out from some of the socio-cultural organizations, not only Mieti Allah, but a multiplicity of them all over the country. You were just highlighting this morning some of the statements saying that the herders should come back home. If that is truly what they said, the question is to a pastoralist, to a herder, where is that home? That home is wherever he lives with his animals, pursuing his livelihood, whether in Okigwe, whether at Abakaliki, whether at Okeogun region of the southwest. That is his homeland. That is where he perceives. I'm coming. Excuse me. Let me just explain this. You see, very many different people all over the world pursue different types of livelihoods, pursue different types of lifestyles, and hold different kinds of worldviews. The worldview of the pastoralists is that today, if you look at from the Sahel, Mauritania, throughout West Africa, have you ever heard of pastoral land? Does it mean they have not been part of this region? In the Sahel, in the savannah, they have been here for centuries. But to the typical pastoral man, his homeland is where he lives with his animals, and he stays and pursues his livelihoods.
But that's not convenient for the owners of the land.
I'm coming. You see, this is not only about my interpretation, but read about pastoral societies throughout the world. This is their own pattern of livelihood. They do not annex land. They do not take over land. They just are opportunistic users of land resources. And this is how they are. So what I normally tell people, in the Okeogun region, for example, in southwestern Nigeria, they have been there for over 100 years. In many parts of Okigwe, they speak the Igbo language. They don't speak the Hausa language. They speak Igbo, they speak Fulfulde. In part of Okeogun today, many of the pastoralists that were previously Fulani are today Yoruba, because they don't speak Fulfulde, they don't speak Hausa, they speak the Yoruba language. They own cattle. They manage their livelihoods. I'm just coming. So these are the dynamics of the pastoral societies. So I expect leaders and intellectuals at whatever level to read and understand these dynamics, and then, like you rightly said, proffer solutions. What are these solutions? Like you mentioned, first of all, there is rising criminality in Nigeria's rural environments. This rising criminality is not only about Fulani herders, it's not only about farmers in the rural areas, it's about the growth of criminal syndicates, mostly well established in the urban areas, well connected to some of the very criminal members within the security establishments, who go out to the rural areas, recruit very young people that are often marginalized, uneducated, and sometimes affected by violence, either being pastoral communities or farming communities. They influence them with drugs brought in through the international drug cartels, and they create these huge rural criminal syndicates in terms of cattle rustling, raiding of villages at night, you know, attacking people to create commotion and create the right environment to commit all kinds of crimes. And we as Nigerians, we are not properly diagnosing these issues and confronting them from that perspective. We are just taking our time to blame each other. Secondly, like you said, there is this issue of resource use conflicts. There is this growing ethnicization of land territories, and then some of these socio-cultural groups, these northern, one group on, not northern Guelders, northern groups, southern groups, southeastern groups, ethnic groups, imagine to say that we are going to protect our own territory, and then these people saying we are going to protect our own territory, and then imagine this into the ongoing political contestations, which have no relevance to the livelihood of those rural farmers who are suffering, or to the rural pastoralists who are likewise suffering.
Did you guys understand that? I hope we didn't just speak over your heads, but when we come back, we'll elaborate on this. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Mariam had a question. Go ahead.
Yes. So you mentioned when you're talking about the problems or the root cause of this.
Cake. Our cake walked in while we're doing the break. Thanks to Cream Slices. Cake came right in. Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, you talked about perception, and there's so many. Right now, I can't have a conversation with my friends, and if you call herdsmen, it just seems like you're. I mean, it has almost become a synonym for terrorism, you know. And the thing is, there isn't enough information from the herdsmen part of the conversation. And it seems like the few times we hear from them is either they are threatening something, or they are, as in this case, they're leaving a particular place. So the thing is there a reason why we're not hearing enough about what it is that they want, what it is that they're going through? We have heard what the farmers want. We've heard how the farmers' clash affects farmers. We've heard how the roots affects farming, you know. But the headers, what exactly do they want? What do they want Nigerians to know about them and understand about them?
Thank you very much. First of all, maybe just who is that herdsman? The herdsman we normally talk about. The herdsman is nobody but that person that takes care of animals, who superintend over livestock. That's all. He's the herdsman. So when you say, when I see on the news, herdsmen attacking Jalingo, I keep looking.
You wonder which?
I keep looking through the lens of the cameras to see their cows as they were following them and heading to Jalingo to attack Jalingo. So what sense does it make? Anybody who doesn't own livestock, who is not herding livestock, who is not taking care of livestock is no longer a herdsman, irrespective of his ethnic, irrespective of his ethnic affiliation. In Nigeria, more than 60 or nearly 60% of all the Fulani are not herdsmen. So, and again, not all herdsmen are Fulani. If you go to most of the Shua Arabs, the Koyam, the Badwe, and some very few other groups also herd some animals. But in West Africa generally, other than the Tuaregs and the Shua Arabs, the Fulani ethnic group are the largest pastoral groups. But in other parts of the world, they are not. In East Africa, you have the Karimajong, they are herdsmen. The Samburu, they are herdsmen. So they are different groups.
Yakub, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, Yakub. Go ahead, please.
And good morning to the audience as well and your guests.
Morning.
Morayo, to me, I really love what your guests have been saying this morning. I wish the government is watching this program now. Those are the people that we need the federal government to tap into their knowledge in order to settle this herdsmen and farmer clash. I call to disagree with Mama Beji one. Sister Tope. You see, Sister Tope said something earlier that the herdsmen are majorly Fulani. Yes, there's no doubt about it. Morayo, I can tell you, I'm a Yoruba. I'm from Okiogo State. And then the gentleman, your guest this morning, is like, he knows the history of Okiogo State, Okiogo rather. You see, these people have been settled with us for 100 years. I've grown up knowing this. As I'm talking to you this morning, why I disagree with Sister Papa is that my elder brother, he is the brother, the same father, the same mother. I can tell you at this point, he has almost 80 cattle to 100 cattle.
Wow.
And then we don't know, because we are living with them, and then all this cattle is managed with Fulani. And then we don't know the way they manage it is that when the cattle give back one, they will take it. If you give back the second one, we will take it. That is how we manage it. And then we have been living together, no fighting, no record. So for us to say that herdsmen are criminal, the criminal is all over the country.
Thank you very much, Yakub, for sharing your story. Thank you very much, Yakub, for sharing your story. Let me come to the audience. There's somebody that wants to say one or two things. Go ahead, please.
Seriously, I don't think that Nigeria government really wants to deal with this herdsman crisis, because this thing started, it has been happening since 1990s, 1960s, 1950s. They have killed many people, even in certain Nigeria, in Delta State, they have killed many people. So with this, I want to ask you, do you think that this Ruga settlement policy is very good, that is very practical? That, do you think it will solve this issue?
Thank you very much for that question.
Why do you think that government that it has been suspended? Why do you think that it has been suspended?
Right. So thank you very much for that. So do you agree with the Ruga settlement, and do you think it was right for the government to suspend it?
You see, this is sometimes trying to give one fix or quick solution is quite difficult to a very complex problem like this. There are, like I said, basically 3 issues that have to be dealt with to bring this issue to a manageable proportion. Number 1 is the rising criminality in Nigeria's rural landscape have to be tackled. The security agencies, the community institutions, the local governments must come on deck and work to deal with these challenges of rural insecurity. It's different, and it is mostly interpreted as farmer-herder conflicts. Secondly, there is increasing breakdown in inter-community relations in many of Nigeria's rural areas. This breakdown in inter-community relations is driving many of the failures to effectively manage resource use between different resource user groups. And in rural Nigeria, the pastoralists access land. They graze because there is very good social and cultural understanding between them and the farming communities. Where this relationship breaks, simple disputes cannot be resolved and fighting emanates. So we need to stop politicizing ethnicity and religion, and we need to find ways of addressing some of these grievances and misperceptions that is driving this breakdown in inter-community relations. And I think very strongly we have to revitalize the capacity of our traditional institutions to manage our rural areas.
Very important. Let me take this call from Stephen. Stephen, are you still there? Are you still there, Stephen from Moe?
Yes, I'm there.
Go ahead, please.
In my own view, I think this man is partially correct. Okay. I'm sorry to use the word partially, because I live in Ogumosho, Oyo State. And I think the crisis between the herdsmen and the people they are staying with is that when they stay with them over some time, you find out that the land by which these people plant tomatoes, okra, and things like that, the Fulani men mistakenly graze their animal to feed on those things. And for them to now come to reconcile or to be agreeing with the fact that they made mistakes, they turn it to crisis themselves. And how can a farmer invest so much planting crops and you just go there overnight and feed on them? So the Yoruba people too, at a point in time, get to attack their animals and the Fulani themselves. And that results to crisis. So the Fulani man brings out his sword and begins to machete the people. We have cases of people dying, people being killed, and the Yoruba too will not open their eyes. So I agree with the fact that the Fulani are nice people to be living with, but they trespass. And that has to be on the point of note.
Right. Thank you very much. So this issue of trespassing, and these are things that could have been resolved with the traditional leaders. These are things that could have been resolved with proper communication. But in your view, do you agree with him that that's the real problem? That's one of the major problems in the traditional livestock grazing practice, because animals always stray into crops. This stray could, like you said, could be mistaken. In some cases, it could be deliberate. Like in any other human activity, somebody can just deliberately offend you. Or sometimes it is by accident, where somebody ordered maybe carelessness or things like that, where you don't take proper care of the animals. But in any case, there are mechanisms for addressing this. And these mechanisms have existed in the past, but these mechanisms are increasingly breaking down. And then the governments and our current society are not doing anything to deal with that.
So you mentioned in your analogy earlier that the issue, this crisis is beyond the perpetrators of this act. We have sponsors who are, fueling this crisis. We have, because the usual herdsman that we know never used to carry arms, but now we hear of herders who carry arms. So there are definitely people behind it who are in strategic positions in the country sponsoring this. And for us to be able to, allegedly, and for us to be able to curb this menace, we need to start tackling the issue from the top. Now, how do we identify those people who are behind this, and how do we do something about them?
Let me just say, you know, in conflict resolution, they will say that you should look for those that are beneficiaries of the crisis, and those that are, you know. So how do we go about it?
I mean, the conflict entrepreneurs. Now, let me put it this way. The issue of people carrying arms, herdsmen carrying arms, we have seen the pictures very many times of in pages of newspapers on the social media. And if you cross-check, you look at the cow in the picture, and you know that it's not even a cow indigenous to West Africa.
Oh, wow. Oh, they're different species of cows.
Different species of cows, just like we look differently as humans. So for any picture you see, they've said herdsman with a gun. Look at the physique of that person. Look at the cow that is in the picture and make a judgment for yourself.
We obviously need information. So yes,
now
this thing.
Basically, that's not to say that there are no criminal people in many of these. Like I said, many of these rural areas have been infiltrated by crime. And there are real conflict entrepreneurs at different levels, organized criminal gangs, possibly lesser in parts of southwestern Nigeria, more in some parts of northern Nigeria, the Middle Belt, and some parts of southeastern Nigeria. And the interplay of this criminality, you cannot understand. So that is why the Nigerian security intelligence must swing into action.
Let me take this comment from our audience. We're holding for a while. Go ahead, please.
Each time this herdsmen, Fulani herdsmen is being talked about, I tend to see us either shifting it to religious aspects, ethnicity. We keep shifting it, not giving it a balance. Now, I've come to understand that in Nigeria, when there is an issue that deals with the less privileged, our governments don't do anything about it. But when it touches them, you see people, when Ebola came, everybody, we shielded ourselves. The rich, the poor, the big, the old, whatever. Until this thing becomes like an Ebola issue, they won't want to deal with it. And if I have the willpower, I want to divert it to be like Ebola and see if the silence will not be broken.
Thank you very much. So we have the National Livestock Transformation Plan of the federal government, and one of the things that it proposes is ranching. And I would like to find out why, is it something that is viable? Is this something that the herders want to do? And is it economically viable for our country? And would it help in resolving these issues between herders and farmers?
Thank you very much. You know, that I am aware of the existence of the National Livestock Transformation Program, but for some of us in the professional field, we say that the scope is a bit narrow, and the geographic coverage of the program should be wider than it is. It is focused on 10 or 7 states of the Federation. It should be a national program, and it should cover nearly all the states of the Federation. And for some of us in the practical fields, we are saying that what should we do? We are saying that farmers and pastoralists live in the same environments, in the same local communities. Farmers have very low level of productivity. They spend 8-9 months out there in the bush, on their farms. They harvest crops that can hardly feed them for 4 to 6 months. Why? Because of very low level of productivity. They are very poor. They are marginalized, and they have very little incomes. Their livelihood is still poor. Government must revitalize the extension service to improve the per unit productivity of our farmers. The pastoralists are there, the pastures, the grazing areas are gone, the pastures have declined, available feeds are not available, they are encroaching on crop lands. What is happening? They also need skills, they also need capacity. You know, so promote integrated crop livestock production systems within these rural communities. Integrate the economies, build the capacities of these people, provide functional education, and then address the major drivers of divisions within those communities. You promote, it's not that you're going to allocate land. Within, these pastoralists are settled in many parts of this area.
Let me hold you for a second. I have a call I've been holding for a while from London. Alana Raja, are you still there?
Hello,
please, thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Okay, yes. Number one, what I will say, the gentleman in the program, I think he knows what he's talking about. He's very intelligent man. But what I will say, they know all these Fulanis. They know that there's a foreign Fulanis in Nigeria. They know that. And they know who brought them to Nigeria. I will say one of the people that brought these people to Nigeria, the governor of Kaduna State. I'm telling you. So what happened now? As a security SSS, they know them. Let them round them up, send them back to where they come from, and let our own Fulani come out and support the government.
Thank you very much, Olaniwaju. Let me take one more comments from the audience and I will run off. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Exactly. Sir, I'm asking you this question. Now, given your office, the office you represent, and your level of exposure, do you believe in this report that we have, just like the caller said, that we have invaders or Fulani that are not indigenous to Nigeria? And if that is correct, is the government doing anything, or the Fulanis that are indigenous to Nigeria, are they doing anything to distinguish themselves or to report those who are not amongst them so that we know?
So do you agree that there are foreigners amongst us?
Well, maybe before I come to the issue of foreigners, you see, people have always made this comment, very high-ranking people, that the herdsmen must expose the criminals among them.
I've said the same.
Yeah. And I keep asking Nigerians, I said, you in your own community, you live in Lagos, in your own neighborhood, have you exposed the criminal in your neighborhood?
Do you even know them?
I have kept asking Nigerians this question. And I said, okay, assuming I know a criminal, to who do I expose the criminal?
The police.
To the police?
We're already suspecting.
And I keep asking you, if you know a criminal, will you go and expose him to the police? I keep asking every one of you, I ask you, if you know a criminal, will you go to the police and tell him that that person is a criminal? So I think these are some of the narratives that we are promoting, which we do not reflect and look at the wider national perspectives of our own challenges. The Nigerian government and security architecture is seriously challenged. The effectiveness of governance is effectively challenged, right from even the heart of our urban centers, talk less of the largely ungoverned rural areas. And these people live in these areas, and these issues are happening there.
Unfortunately, I have to wrap up there.
Let me just take one tweet. Ologe Phillips says, no blame game. The problem we refused to solve 20 years ago has festered and degenerated, yet we cannot see we are simply coloring it in a particular tribe and blaming them for it. The uniformed and the uneducated people, uninformed and uneducated people we oppress in our different locations, what becomes of them?
Unfortunately, thank you so much, Dr. Momale, for being here. We really appreciate you being here. I hope you're able to understand. We have better, living with better knowledge on this issue of herdsmen.
Who they are, what they want, and what their challenges are.
Thank you so much to Cadbury Bonvita for the beverage and cream slices for this beautiful cake. It came late, but at least it came. Yes. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.